make those appropriations decisions. It's not going to be encompassing for all councils all the time. No policy is. So yes, those different councils are going to have different issues, just like we do in financial director appropriations meetings all the time anyway. We don't always have the same financial directors there because of different issues that come up. But this is just opening it up a little bit more, so we have a little bit more representation. So we can say this is what the Senate's decision is, not just, oh, here's a few councils on these appropriations. When we're dealing with a lot of applications and a lot of money that we have to spread out very quickly. So to make those decisions, you have to pick someone like the financial director who's going to be there. The way it's outlined now, the financial director is supposed to be the only one there because they're the ones that know the money. And a president should be able to know that also. But that another person in every council is not going to have the same experience. But just having the president, I think, is the best way to go about it, because for most councils, that's going to be the other person that's going to know a little bit about money and how to appropriate it and how to spend it.
Yeah, thanks, Crystal. And that actually brings up two good points. If I can articulate this a little bit of a different way, the training that you get as president is being in president's meetings. And that's why I'd like to limit it to presidents, because that whole worldview, kind of these softer things about specifically to address information is concerned, being the Senate presidential representative, is that you not only get training from that 10 to 30 minute session, you get training from being in this room, in this GA room, every bi-weekly session, which Senate reps get, so that narrows it down to the president's and Senate reps. And then you get the benefit of being in president's meetings every other week as well, which is something that Senate reps don't get. And that's kind of how this worldview comes together, and why ultimately I think you'd be able to train a president in 10 minutes, whereas you might not be able to train somebody who hasn't sat in his GA room or sat in president's meetings to be able to think that way and act consistently as a voice of Senate. The second thing I'd like to address is the public perception issues. I'd rather it not be, council representatives allocated this much. I'd rather it be the Senate Financial Committee allocated this much. And yes, that's mostly financial directors, but sometimes it's the president. I don't think anybody's going to argue with, oh, well, that's dilutive. Whereas if it's just a bunch of representatives from councils, I think that could be dilutive. I mean, I don't want to get too dramatic, but I'd hate to see Senate lose this power because ultimately somebody thinks we're not using it responsibly, or I'd hate to see people publicize on it as if Senate's not acting responsibly. No other committee on the University of Texas has this ability to proxy vote. This is a very liberal step, and I'd like to keep it as conservative as possible.
Sure. Just to piggyback on your 6 cents on things, I definitely think that it is good about this system, and Margaret touched on this a little earlier, that we have the ability to change our constitution when we need to. So if this system proves faulty or something does not work after the first year, we can go ahead and expand it further if that's what we need to do. However, for this first year, I think it is valid that presidents be the only ones who are able to proxy vote for the MPs. And I guess to address the school of information's point, I think that it's a challenge for councils across the board, both large and small, that if their financial director and then their president cannot make it to these meetings, their voice is not going to be represented. We shouldn't expand it any further because that would require an expansion for all councils of the board.
That is time for discussion and debate. Is there a motion to extend? Okay, seeing no motion, discussion and debate is closed. Is there a motion to approve SB 1005? Second. All those in favor of SB 1005, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any? Sorry. So, any abstentions? Okay, SB 1005 passes. Business, I'll be offering SR 260.
So basically, what this legislation, if you want to talk, Alex? I'll start. So basically what this legislation is we recognize that there are a lot of AP examinations that aren't accepted by the university for credit, and they're accepted at other universities. Okay, so how it came to be. I was talking with Dean Doug Dempster, who's the Dean of the College of Fine Arts, and after our town hall meeting, we were talking about ways to basically help the TA situation. In the School of Music, graduate students teach the first and second semesters of music theory courses. And as it stands currently, the School of Music does not accept AP Music Theory exams, any score. And we basically talked about how if the School of Music were to accept some AP scores, that there would be fewer students taking these courses and we would need to hire the TAs, basically. Now I'll let Alex talk about his inspiration.
I was testifying on the Capitol on HB 33 and the, I guess, vice chair of House Higher Education Committee was concerned about the money that Texas spends putting kids through AP courses, dual credit courses, and IB courses. And they subsidize the cost of the exams, they put teachers through training, as well as getting extra teachers. And then a number of those courses aren't even accepted at the University of Texas once they get here. That's on my side, I think, where we can say, not only are we pushing Invest in Texas, but we're trying to enhance efficiency within the state of Texas by allowing what Texas is investing in to actually go towards credit at college. They spend $15 million a year just subsidizing the tests themselves, and they don't have any numbers that I could find on how much they spend employing teachers who teach these courses and all that good stuff. But this would just be a decent efficiency thing, because a number of these tests that are accepted by our comparison schools aren't accepted.
And this is a happy little chart. It's also available in your legislation. You're more than welcome to read that. It should answer many good questions. So basically, there are all of these other institutions that offer AP score credit, and the University of Texas doesn't. The only real exception is biology, which currently accepts only 5, whereas many of our comparison schools accept 3s or 4s. So, what basically our rationale? AP exams are designed by the College Board to be equivalent to the at least the first semester of a college course. First year courses often repeat material found in AP courses and tested on the AP exam, and it's just wasteful to learn something twice, basically. And as the college course is much more expensive to the student and the state than an AP course and an AP exam, why not cut some costs? And therefore, we recommend that the university expand its AP acceptance policy. Questions?
10 minutes for Q&A.
Is the quality of the teacher received using the courses the same as they receive at university? Is that why you don't accept certain courses?
From what I understand, AP exams are standard throughout the nation. Everybody takes the same AP exam. So if a student were to take an exam in Amarillo, where I'm from, it will be testing the same material as a student in Houston. And if the student doesn't master the quality, the material on the exam, they don't master the material on the exam. And it doesn't, I don't see how the quality of the course would matter, because they're not getting credit for the course, they're getting credit for the exam.
Just as a side note, both MIT and Stanford accept 3 courses that University of Texas does not accept 4 or 5. So in terms of quality of education, I don't think there's much argument with those students.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask, I think it's involved in 87. Is that kind of the kind of safeguards that you have in place if, you know, you're already a biology major, they can send you a 4 on the biology exam? And do you think that, I mean, how do you see this going down in different departments?
The way it goes down in different departments, I think the university officially I'm going from my experience. The university officially accepts a music theory exam of score of 3, but it would count for a fine arts elective. As a music major, I didn't take the music theory AP exam because I knew UT wouldn't accept it in the major sequence. So the way that is the School of Music opted out of this policy, saying we think our program is much better than the AP exam offers. So yes, it's our safeguard.
I know that you can accept certain AP credits, but some students go about this other way and they take the UT offer test out of the credits. Like this, for example, you can test out Spanish or French with the test given by the French or the Spanish department. Is that, are you guys not taking those tests into account, or do you feel that those are extra or necessary work in addition to making tests?
Those are an exception to AP tests. A lot of kids go through taking these courses in high school, pass the test, and then earn credit for it at the state level. As far as tests go that departments are offering, that's a separate issue, and we would, of course, support them continuing.
Was there any consideration for IB courses that are along the same lines as AP?
There is where a result statement on English 6 that they periodically review the accepted scores for AD, IB, up in SA2. I'm not personally familiar with IB test scores, and probably wouldn't be the most well-versed person to speak on it, but that was something that we did realize should be looked into, so we put that in there, but these were specific examples.
Do you know how the appeals process works right now? I know some of these tests, or maybe not these in particular, but if you don't get a 4 or 5, the UT requires a 4 or 5, you get a 3. Right now, I know you can appeal for credit. I don't know how the process works.
Personally, with the amount of money that the university spends and the state of Texas spends putting kids through these courses that they already know the information to, if I personally had taken Italian and gotten a 5 on the test, I might feel that I know the information well enough, not attend, and then fail to an attendance policy. That's just a waste of state funds. And if kids don't, I don't know about the attendance policy, and if I come in, retake this course because I didn't know that I could appeal for my 4, it just seems to be like a waste of state funds.
Shabab, Craigman. I had a question about, I understand that this is kind of the direction the state's been pushing, but the implication I always got was that the university is kind of pushing in the opposite, or has always been pushing in the opposite direction. And I know you guys said the Commission of 125, but I think it is the Commission of 125 that kind of explicitly talks about a 42-hour core curriculum and kind of moving away from having those tested. And so I guess my question is, do you know of any faculty member? It would eventually have to go through kind of the faculty council and those that are charged with maintaining the academic integrity of the university. Do you have any kind of idea of how that might play out?
Last year, MIT added 5 for comparative government. I believe we accept that MIT is ranked higher than the University of Texas. So if we don't offer any credit, someone who spent all that time in high school and the state spent all that money hiring that teacher, I think it's a good waste of time. Texas A&M offers us. So they can push that way.
And as to speak on the side of faculty, I think it says a lot if the dean of a college suggests this to a student after a meeting about financial woes.
Yeah, sure. My understanding about comparative government, at least, is that's not part of the UT core. Is it like the test, the material that test covers isn't part of the UT core? So I guess it does count for something, just not what some students may want. Is that the issue?
It doesn't count for anything. You don't receive any credit for comparative government, whether it be for your major sequence or for electives or anything.
Okay, so going back, you said it's like a waste of money, mostly, to have all of these AP courses. educate these students and